They say you never forget the moment you realize your family sees you as disposable. For me, that moment happened on Christmas Eve, surrounded by twinkling lights, sugar cookies, and the kind of cheer that usually masks the cracks in a family. My name is Greg, I am 39, and until that night I thought I understood the limits of how far me parents would go to play favorites. I didn't. We got 2 kids, Emma, 11, and Lucas, 9. They re-smart kind and the type of kids who write thank you notes and still believe in magic. I am not saying they re-perfect, but they re-good. My wife, Melissa, and I have done everything we could to give them a life filled with stability, love, and the kind of holiday traditions I didn't grow up with. I thought I'd left the toxicity behind, carved out something healthier. Turns out, the past has a way of finding its way back in. We live about 2 hours away from my parents. Every year, despite the strained relationship, we make the drive to attend the big family Christmas Eve party. My mom would insist we all wear red. Dad would pour spiked eggnog like it was holy water, and the living room would fill with me siblings, their spouses, and the grandkids. My older brother Ryan would always arrive late, grandiose, usually with his son Carter in tow, and some excuse about a last-minute work thing that somehow required a fresh haircut and designer jacket. Ryan's always been the golden child. He could forget birthdays, skip out on family events, and he'd still be greeted like a war hero. I was the one who helped repaint my parents' kitchen last summer, the one who took off work to drive mom to her surgery when Ryan was too busy. No one remembered that. But Ryan could post a photo of his latte art and mom would comment, "So proud of my boy." It used to hurt now. I just let it pass. I found peace by lowering myth this year though. This year was different. We got there a little early. Emma helped arrange cookies in the tray while Lucas tried to sneak one when he thought no one was looking. Melissa poured cocoa for the kids and smiled her way through Mom's comments about how they so well behaved for now. I should have known something was off when I saw the pile of gifts under the tree. They were stacked high, shiny bows, glittery paper, big ones, small ones, tags all handwritten. But when I looked closer, I noticed something strange. None of them had Emma or Lucas's names. Maybe they were in the other room, I told myself. Maybe Mom was doing that thing where she hides the gifts for suspense. That is a thing she used to do, right? Then Ryan arrived, late as usual. Carter, now 13 and growing into a smirky teenager, swaggered him behind him like he owned the place. Ryan greeted the room like a politician, hugging Mom fist, bumping Dad, ignoring me entirely. I watched Carter walk straight to the tree and say, "Whoa, that is all for us. All for the grandkids who made us proud this year," Dad said with a wink. I froze. The grandkids who made us proud. My stomach tightened, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Melissa squeezed my hand. She heard it too. Mom called everyone into the living room, practically bouncing with excitement. We wanted to do something special this year, she beamed. To honor the grandkids who really shined, top of their class, helpful around the house, really making us proud. I glanced down at Emma and Lucas. Emma's smile faded. Lucas shifted uncomfortably. Ryan stood behind them like a proud stage dad while Carter puffed up his chest. Mom handed out the first gift to Carter from Grandma and Grandpa. Carter tore it open, an iPad. I blinked. The next one was a pair of expensive sneakers, then a gaming headset, then a drone. Each gift was for Carter. Different tags, different wrapping, all addressed to him. Lucas leaned toward me. "Are hours coming later?" I could answer. Then came the kicker. Carter held up the drone and laughed. "Guess you didn't deserve one," he said, looking straight at Emma and Lucas. My jaw clenched. I looked to Mom to Dad, waiting for some kind of correction, some acknowledgement. But Mom just chuckled and said, "Oh, he is just teasing." Emma looked like she was trying not to cry. Lucas stared at the floor. Melissa's face was pale. Her mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. And me, I didn't cause a scene. I didn't yell or flip the table, though every part of me burned with the urge to. Instead, I took a deep breath, stood up slowly, and said, "Come on, guys, we heading home." Mom blinked. "Oh, don't be silly. Dinner, in an hour." "We not hungry," I said, my voice calm but cold. "Come on, get your coats." Emma didn't say a word. Lucas followed quietly, drone noises still buzzing in the background. As we left, Ryan muttered, "Drama queen." And that was it. We drove home in silence. Lucas fell asleep in the back. Emma sat beside him, her head leaning against the window, tears glistening on her cheeks. Melissa stared out the front window, her hands in her lap, the tension humming between us. I didn't speak. I was too busy replaying the scene, each moment cutting deeper than the last. The gifts, the laugh, the way my parents smiled through it all, and the look in my daughter's eyes when she realized she didn't matter, not to them. That night, after tucking the kids in and watching Emma clutch the small stuffed bear she used to sleep with years ago, I picked up my phone. I stared at the message I was about to send. Not dramatic, not angry, just final. "Don't ever invite us again. We not your punchline." I hit send. And the fallout began the next morning. The text came back as read. No response, no apology, nothing. I watched the screen for a few minutes, as if my parents might suddenly realize what they done and call. But the only notification I got that morning was from our local pharmacy, reminding me to pick up Emma's allergy meds. Melissa came into the kitchen holding 2 mugs of coffee. She handed me one wordlessly and sat across from me. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded slowly, but I wasn't. Something inside me had cracked open. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was angry, quietly, deeply angry in a way I hadn't been in years. And beneath that anger was shame, not for what I did, but for how long I tolerated it. See, that Christmas wasn't the first time my parents had made my kids feel invisible. It wasn't the first time they overlooked Melissa, or talked about Ryan Leakey, was the second coming of Steve Jobs. But it was the first time I saw the look on my daughter's face and realized that she understood, that she felt the difference now, that she started to believe it. Over the next few days, I tried to focus on our own holiday. We played board games, baked cookies, opened the gifts we bought each other, and lit the fireplace. But something had shifted in the atmosphere, like a window had been cracked open in a room we thought was sealed. We were trying to move on, but the cold still crept in. New Year's came and went quietly. Then, a week into January, my phone buzzed. It was a group chat my mom had created years ago, just called family. It mostly stayed quiet except for the occasional happy birthday, or blurry photo of my dad's barbecue attempts. But this time, Mom, hi everyone. Just wanted to start planning Carter's big birthday weekend. He'll be 14 this year. Can you believe it? We rethinking ski lodge getaway. Cabins are about $300 a night, but we can split. Who is in? I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the screen. Melissa was putting away groceries when she saw my face. What is wrong? I turned the screen toward her. She read it, blinked, then laughed. It was a bitter, sharp sound. Unbelievable. I didn't reply in the group chat. I didn't say a word, but a few minutes later, Ryan responded. Ryan, sounds amazing. Mom, count me and Carter in. Greg can probably cover our cabin too. He still owes me for the laptop I gave him in high school. That part wasn't even true. He'd given me an old broken Dell in senior year because he was getting a brand new MacBook. And even then, he made me borrow it like he was doing me a favor. Still, no one corrected him. Not Mom, not Dad, not my sister Katie, who chimed in right after. Katie, haha, yes. Carter's birthday is basically a holiday. Let us make it big. I didn't respond. I left the group chat that afternoon. A few hours later, my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted, Mom, can't believe you left the family chat. That is immature, Greg. I typed and deleted at least 4 responses before I settled on one word. Me, noted. Her reply was immediate. Mom, what is your problem lately? This is about the Christmas thing, it? You always overreact. I didn't respond again. I was done explaining things to people who refused to listen, but I didn't realize how deep the favoritism went until a week later when Emma came home from school holding a folder of class assignments. She was excited, smiling, finally getting her energy back. Guess what? She said, holding out the folder. I got picked for the school STEM fair. I grinned. That is awesome. What are you going to build? I want to do a solar-powered oven, she said. My teacher said it was a smart idea. Melissa and I hyped her up all evening. We ordered some materials online, printed out diagrams, even started drawing up presentation boards. That weekend, I posted a photo of her sketching ideas on the dining table. Just a quiet dad moment, nothing showy. The caption said, "Proud of my little engineer." A day later, my sister Katie posted a picture of Carter holding a basketball. Katie's caption, "My nephew equals next NBA MVP. Sorry, not sorry." Then Mom commented under her post, "Genius boy, we so proud of you, Carter." Under mine. Silence. Melissa noticed it first. They didn't even like the post. I shrugged. It is fine, but it wasn't because 2 days later, Emma came to me looking confused. Grandma posted a picture of Carter on Facebook and said he was the smartest grandkid. I froze. When did she post that? This morning, Emma said quietly. He wants something at school. A spelling thing. She wasn't crying, but her face had that hollow look. I'd seen at Christmas. That quiet, defeated confusion kids have when something's too big to understand. I pulled her close. Hey, you are amazing, okay, and we proud of you always. She nodded into my chest, but I could feel her body tense. The next day, I called my mom. She answered with that tone she always used when she thought he had something to apologize for. Well, look who finally decided to call. Did you really post that Carter is your smartest grandkid? I asked. My voice was calm, but I wasn't. Oh, come on, Greg. It is just a figure of speech. You are really taking things too personally these days. You know, Emma saw that, right? She is a child. She'll get over it. That was the moment something inside me shifted. No, I said quietly. She shouldn't have to get over it. There was a pause. Greg, you are blowing this way out of proportion. You always have to be the victim. No, IV just stopped pretending it doesn't hurt. Another pause. Then she said something that'd carry with me for the rest of the year. Well, maybe if you raised your kids to stand out more, they'd get the attention you want so badly. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just hung up. Melissa was in the doorway. She heard the whole thing. She walked over, sat beside me, and whispered, We redone with them, right? I nodded, but of course it wasn't over. 2 weeks later, in February, I got a letter in the mail from my parents. Not a card, not an apology. A letter. It was written in my dad's handwriting, neat and cold. Greg, we re-disappointed in how you've handled things lately. Cutting ties over perceived slights is childish. We hope you reconsider your attitude. And remember, that family means putting pride aside. At the bottom, my mom had scribbled, "Tell Emma and Lucas we love them, even if they don't always earn it." I didn't show the letter to the kids. I didn't want them to see that poison in writing, but I did show it to Melissa. She read it once, then again, then put it down and said nothing for a long time. That night, she said, "You know what the worst part is? What? They think they the victims." I laughed bitterly. They always have. But even then, I thought we hit the bottom. I thought that letter was the worst it would get. I didn't know yet what Ryan had been up to behind the scenes. I didn't know what my parents were planning for Easter. I didn't know how far they were willing to go to pretend they done nothing wrong, and how deep they that hole before trying to drag me down into it. Because the betrayal that broke everything, it hadn't happened yet, but it was coming, and when it did, there'd be no going back. The fallout from that letter hung over our house like thick fog. For weeks, everything I did, every dish I washed, every meeting I sat through at work, every bedtime story I read had a faint background noise of that line. Mom had scribbled at the bottom of the page. Even if they don't always earn it. Emma hadn't seen it, but she felt it. I could see it in the way she hesitated before showing Usher schoolwork now. The way Lucas looked at her before asking for help with homework like he was worried his big sister might snap. She never did. But the lightness in her step was dimmer, like someone had taken her pride and slipped it under a microscope, examining it with disapproval. And me, I was drowning in shame and frustration, not because I felt I was wrong, but because I had let it get this far. Because I had let my kids love people who couldn't love them back the way they deserved. By the middle of February, Melissa and I sat down one night after the kids were in bed, the television humming quietly with some cooking competition neither of us were watching. She reached over and muted it. "I know you are spiraling," she said gently, "but you've got to pull yourself out of this. You did the right thing walking away." I nodded, slowly. I feel like I let them steal something from me. From the kids, they didn't steal it. They tried. But you stopped it in time, you protected them. It didn't feel like it, but that conversation sparked something. Not a burst of motivation. Not some grand phoenix rising from the ashes moment. Just a tiny click in my brain. A quiet decision to stop waiting for my family to validate me. If they weren't going to be thievelage behind my kids, then I'd build one myself from scratch. So I started small. I volunteered to chaperone Emma's STEM club one Friday after school. It was awkward at first. I was the only dad there, surrounded by enthusiastic moms and a slightly frazzled science teacher who looked grateful just to have another adult around. Emma beamed when she saw me in the hallway. "You came," she whispered, half embarrassed, half thrilled. I stayed in the corner mostly, helping kids tape down poster boards or test circuits that kept shorting out. But I saw the way Emma stood a little taller that day, the way she raised her hand more, how she explained her solar oven idea to two of the younger kids who were struggling with theirs. When we got in the car afterward, she said, "It was cool that you were there." It hit me harder than I expected. Later that week, Lucas came home talking about a soccer skills workshop he wanted to join. It was early Saturday mornings, which usually meant cartoons and pancakes. But I signed us both up. I hadn't kicked a soccer ball in years, but Lucas didn't care. He just wanted to do something with me. And slowly, life started to shift. I joined a local Dad-S group, not the kind that meets to drink beer and complain, but one focused on community volunteering and mutual support. We built toy kits for kids in hospitals, ran cleanup drives at local parks, even hosted a Dad and Me event at the library, where I watched Lucas read the BFG out loud to 3 other kids like a tiny motivational speaker. Meanwhile, I started leaning harder into work. I was a mid-level project manager at a logistics software firm, and while I'd always been good at it, I never pushed for more. I'd spent too many years trying to keep my head down, chasing approval from the wrong places now. With nothing to lose, I stepped up. I volunteered to lead a tricky cross-department initiative that had been stalled for months. I stayed late, learned the parts of the system I'd always avoided, took ownership. When things broke, my boss took notice. At the next all-hands meeting, he called me out by name. "Greg's been quietly keeping this whole operation afloat," he said. "If you've benefited from faster rollouts this quarter, thank him." The Slack messages started rolling in, not just praise, but opportunities. Someone in another department looped me in on a product pilot. Another offered to recommend me for a leadership fellowship. I wasn't used to it, but I didn't push it away. At home, Melissa was thriving too. She picked up some freelance consulting work, using her marketing background to help local businesses with branding and outreach. She started doing Zoom calls in the guest bedroom, her voice full of clarity and confidence. "You are different lately," she told me one evening. It is like you are finally letting go of the weight. And I was slowly, because here's the thing I didn't expect about cutting off my parents and siblings. It hurt. Of course it did. But it also made space to breathe, to think, to build. But that doesn't mean the past stayed quiet. In early March, Katie, my sister, sent me an Instagram message. Not a call, not even a text, just a DM. With a screenshot of a photo Melissa had posted of Emma's finished solar oven project. Emma was standing next to it, grinning, sunlight bouncing off the aluminum panels. The caption said, "My little innovator, first place in the district showcase." Katie's message underneath the screenshot read, "So we just pretending none of this drama happened now." I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another message. Carter wanted to congratulate Emma. He is matured, you know. I still didn't respond. Because I knew what this was, not a truce, a test, an invitation to come crawling back so they could pretend it had all been a misunderstanding. I deleted the message. A week later, Ryan called me. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hey bro," he said, like nothing had happened. Long time I waited. "So listen, Mom and Dad are planning a family Easter brunch," he said. "They were wondering if you guys might want to come by. Clear the air, you know, start fresh." "Did they tell you to call me?" No, he lied. I thought it was time. What exactly would I be clearing the air about?" He paused. "I mean, come on man, you got real sensitive over some gift mix-up. Carter, as a kid, he jokes around, and Mom and Dad, look, they love your kids, you know that. They just show it different." I let the silence hang. Then I said, "Do you even remember what Mom wrote in that letter?" He laughed. "Letters? Who reads letters anymore?" I hung up, but the call rattled me, because it wasn't just about me. Easter was coming, and Emma and Lucas had asked if we'd be doing anything with the big family this year. They didn't miss the drama, but they missed the idea of belonging, and I wanted to give them that. Not through forced holidays or fake apologies, but by creating something better. So that week, Melissa and I decided to host our own Easter brunch. We invited 3 of Emma's STEM friends and their families. Lucas brought 2 soccer buddies. Melissa reached out to a co-worker who was new in town with twin girls. We bought folding tables, string lights, painted eggs, baked way too much food. I even borrowed a bunny costume from the community center and walked around the backyard like an idiot for 2 hours handing out treats. And you know what? It was the best holiday we had in years. There was laughter, warmth, no forced smiles or passive-aggressive comments, just real joy. At one point, Emma ran up to me, face flushed, and said, "Dad, this is the best Easter ever." And that is when I knew we hadn't just left something behind. We were building something new. Of course, the past wasn't done with us yet, because 2 days after that brunch, I got a certified letter in the mail from a law office. And when I opened it, the headline made my blood run cold. It was a notice of revocation of financial agreement. And at the bottom, in my father's signature, were 5 words that would spark the final war: reconsider your attitude. Or else, at first, I didn't fully understand what I was looking at. I sat at the kitchen table, certified letter in one hand, coffee going cold in the other. Melissa stood behind me, reading over my shoulder in silence. The letterhead was from a mid-sized legal firm 2 towns over, one I vaguely recognized from a billboard along the freeway.